Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughn, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. All right. Hi there. I have as my guest today, Danae Cortés. Now, Rebecca is a wellness coach supporting individuals who are seeking to gain self-awareness and practice skills to improve wellness and mental health. So welcome, Rebecca. I am so excited to have you as my guest today.
Thank you, Wendy. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, and I am really looking forward to discovering more about your journey as an entrepreneur, right? This is an interesting pathway to wellness, helping others to achieve that. And quite frankly, more about this important work that you're doing.
I'm
So,
excited to share.
yeah, and I every entrepreneur, they have their own unique journey because we're all individuals and we come from different walks of life. Generally speaking, before deciding to that harebrained crazy idea of jumping out and being in business for ourselves. Sometimes it's not so crazy or harebrained, but there are those people that say, what are you thinking? But it seems
Yeah.
like every journey includes two really important things. And that, of course, is, the business journey, business development, because generally speaking, we're not born with all the skills.
hmm
As well as that personal development journey, with that overall vision of making a meaningful difference for others. And
Yes.
I believe that ultimately, the ripple effects of that meaningful difference, like the difference that you make, results in ripple effects that continue and infinitely, truly
hmm
making that impact globally, which is why I love showcasing people like you and the work that you're doing. But that journey from passion to profits, it's not always that easy. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. First off, how long have you been a wellness coach?
Yeah. So I've been coaching professionally for 5.5 years. So it'll be 6 years this August. Um, and I really found that in every job that I held, whether it was supporting other entrepreneurs and small businesses or working at a nonprofit, even in my undergraduate studies, studying urban planning, the goal was always to make people's lives better. And one on one, I just really enjoy the connection and the opportunity to help an individual see their worth, their potential, and the value that they already hold,
Mm,
and then build on that. And so when I knew that I wanted to go into business for myself, which really was to create a sustainable workflow that wasn't too high stress and wasn't too intense and would allow me the flexibility to grow my family, I knew that coaching was the area that would work well for me. I ended up focusing on wellness out of inspiration from my own wellness struggles and then journey to better health physically and mentally. And that was something so exciting for me that I wanted to share with others, but not just imparting knowledge, but in fact, kind of getting into the weeds with them, helping them understand what's going on, why it's happening, and show them that they have the brilliance to get to a better place. And I'm here to help.
right. Yeah, that is, sometimes people don't realize that there are options. There's
hmm
really, it isn't that they're just stuck with a certain level of, oh, it's genetics. or oh, it's this, or oh, kind of that state of giving up. Whereas with your expertise and insights, just shifting their reality in terms of what's possible.
Right, right. There are certainly challenges that will stay with us long term,
Yes,
and even so,
absolutely.
we can tackle life with a lot of endurance and hope and compassion for ourselves, whatever the circumstances may be. I'm certainly not one to push aside the reality. And that's something I think is
Right.
unique about my work. I'm going to say, oh yeah, I see that. That's really challenging. That sucks even. And we're
Mm-hmm.
going to honor that experience, have compassion for ourselves and others, and make the best of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that really, for me, that feels empowering,
Yeah.
that it's not just ignoring. It's like, okay, how can we fold this in and still increase the level of joy and health and wellness within
Yes.
truly possible. So yeah, I love that. So when you first started your business, um, did you have kids yet, or you had now? Correct me. How many kids do you have?
I just have one.
One.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's almost 5. I
little
did not
girl.
have kids when I started,
Okay,
and I knew that I wanted to have kids,
right. That's
but
what you mentioned. You
actually
wanted to grow your family,
I
so
wanted to grow my family,
oops.
meaning bigger than me and my husband.
Yeah,
I
right,
consider us a little family, but
right.
I knew I had this plan in mind to start a coaching business, but it wasn't until I actually had a miscarriage that
Oh,
really, yeah, it helped me to make the decision. Now's the time to
mm,
focus on my health and wellness and go ahead and cultivate and grow this dream of mine
right.
and be well as I prepare my body to have a child that I carry to term. And then I
Mhm.
did.
That was
Yeah,
definitely a wake up call to
it
realize that
was a wake up
you're
call.
not totally in balance. Yeah, so
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense now. So when you
Hmm.
decided to start a business, did you have a clear strategy or any business knowledge already when you launched?
I would say very little business knowledge. I did have some training and I had done some studying of business principles in some of my work previously in service of other businesses.
Mm,
Um, but I really didn't have the experience of growing a business myself or even attempting to start one from
right.
scratch. So it was a totally new experience with a lot of good influence and mentors around me. But it was my first go. Yeah.
Yeah. So was it what you expected when you started down that journey, or did it
Yes
meet
and
with
no.
some surprises?
Yeah, definitely surprises,
Yeah,
Wendy. I
typically
would
that's what
say,
happens.
right? I knew that it would be challenging. I knew that there would be a lot of
Okay,
uncertainty
so
and
you
some
had at
unknowns.
least some, an understanding that, okay, this is not going to be just a walk in the park.
Exactly. And
That's
I knew that I wanted to approach it quite a bit differently from those I was in business with and supporting in their businesses.
yeah,
I
isn't
never
that
wanted it to
wonderful?
be, it is, it's wonderful. Not that there was anything wrong with their approach,
Right,
but
but
I
just
wanted it to be
see,
an outpouring of
hmm
myself. Yeah.
yes, yeah, I totally love that, and I can totally resonate too, because
Yeah.
that's something that just tapping in and tuning in to what it is that aligns with our values and who we are
Right.
helps to create that sense of just, I don't know, commitment, or just like, yeah, I'm on this right path because it feels right. Yeah.
Right.
So as I mentioned when I introduced you, individuals, I'm assuming men, women, hire you to help them gain that increased self-awareness,
Yes.
as well as practice, learn and practice skills that improve their overall wellness and mental health. So can you just share in terms of, help us better understand why is what you do so important to them being able to gain that new level of wellness and mental health?
Yeah. So a lot of times my clients come to me with confusion, uncertainty, and they're looking for clarity, but they
Mm,
don't even always have a clear goal in mind.
mm,
Sometimes they'll say, I know things aren't good, things could be better, and I don't know what I need.
mm.
Or I've been pursuing this goal for months or years and I'm not making the progress, or that I don't have the consistency that I want. What
Right.
what do I need to figure out here? And so the work that we do is sort of drawing out, kind of like you referred to earlier, their values, drawing out more of who they are and what they want in life so that we
Mm,
can create clear aims, clear goals, and then find the steps together to pursue those goals. So they usually come with a lot of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happened. I don't know why this isn't working. And
right.
then
They
we
know what
work
they don't
together.
want and they don't know why it's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We find answers together and
So
come
you
up
have
with
to,
some really clear paths forward.
you have to be a really good listener. It sounds like
Yeah,
probably have a lot of intuition and able
I
to
believe that I do.
hear past what what their perceptions are and maybe help them to align or find that clarity. Interesting, because mental
Yes,
health is that's a broad spectrum of
it is.
well-being. Health is, well, nutrition, exercise, sleep, hydration. We can kind of like
Mhm.
wrap our heads around that, but mental health is
It's huge.
that's huge,
Yeah. And
and
it's
it
hard
has
to
a big
understand.
impact holistically on
Right.
the wellness. It's definitely
Right. So we look for those connections. And like you said, there's a big part of the work that's intuitive. Frequently, clients will say, I don't know what I want. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's been happening. And then I say, it sounds like your goal is this. For example, you want to um, gain clarity on how to pursue your weight and nutrition goals so that you can achieve them in a timely manner, for example. That's a
mhm,
very general goal, but
realistic.
it's realistic, and we could then set parameters for that time frame and set specifics to how they want to go about pursuing the goal. But when
Right.
it comes to mental health, yeah, it can be really a broad space to start. And the work that I
Mhm,
do is listening well and then kind of translating back to the client. I see
mhm.
this is what I'm hearing from you. And they frequently say, wow, you're reading my mind, or something to that effect. But it's because, I do this work. I know people well,
Yeah.
and it's really an important part of my journey too, to
Mm,
be understood and to understand people beyond their words, beyond the surface of what they're able to present.
right. And
Yeah.
oftentimes I think we just kind of get used to a certain state of being, and it's just our
Hmm.
normal. And so even the words we choose kind of reflect that normal. And for you, with your expertise and your acute hearing, you can hear those like, well, it's probably kind of like x-ray vision to you. It's like you're seeing, these beacons that are indicating, there's something here that's out of alignment that is creating a state of depression or anxiety,
Right.
or yeah. So it's really an emotional tune in, uh, tuning
Hmm.
in. Now I've heard you kind of reference previously emotional engagement. So
Yes.
I'm curious to hear, your perspectives on that. Why does emotional engagement matter?
Yeah. Emotions are, I think, our greatest teachers. I truly believe that. If we are able to engage with emotions, say, for example, sadness, if you're just feeling low, feeling sadness, and you're not even sure why,
Yeah.
but then you learn the practice of engaging with sadness and hearing back from it, so to speak, kind of in a conversational manner. Sometimes we even practice mentally personifying emotions.
Huh.
So it's like sadness comes in to your home, you invite sadness in to sit down with you, enjoy a cup of tea, and say, okay, sadness, you're here. I really wish you weren't, but you're here. So what do you have to show me? And
Hmm.
sadness might say something like, well, that big disappointment at work, it really mattered to you, and you're reasoning your way through it and saying,
Mm.
but it's fine and everything's going to be okay and there's no reason to spend more time on this, but it matters and you need to slow down and be attentive to that.
Huh. Instead of shooing it away or putting it under a
Yeah,
rug or, basically being in denial or running from it.
right.
So more,
Avoiding it.
yeah,
Yeah.
versus embracing it and
Hmm.
allowing it to have a voice for a little bit so that there's that sense of maybe
Right.
clarity or control.
Yeah, definitely clarity. And I do feel like there's a sense of control and choice that comes when
Choice.
we learn
Yeah.
that practice
Right.
of
Right.
engaging with emotions.
Mm.
Because when you can get to the point of saying, oh, sadness is knocking at my door again, I'm going to open the door wide and let sadness in,
Hmm.
then it's no longer a struggle. It's no longer building tension in your life. Instead, it's, I'm going to spend some time with this, see
Right.
what it is that I can learn from this emotion,
Mm.
and then I'll move on.
Wow. Yeah.
Sadness can come
This.
and go freely and teach you something and then say see you later. Same thing with
Wow.
anger and fear and anxiety, and all of those emotional experiences can become beautiful and important teachers in our lives if we're able to engage with them rather than seek to suppress or avoid or dodge them,
Right.
which feels good
Resist.
for a moment,
Right.
but long term they'll just keep knocking until
Exactly.
you
It
open the door.
generally doesn't work long term. Ah, I love
Right,
that.
right.
What a paradigm shift. That's huge. Huge. Well,
Yes,
can you share a
yes.
story maybe with us about a client that you've worked with that has had a meaningful shift in their life as a result of this approach and your
Yeah,
overall coaching?
absolutely. One of my dearest clients, he's a PhD candidate, and he grew up, with his mom as his primary parents. His father wasn't around, and that didn't seem relevant to our work at first. But when he was really struggling to be consistent with his work and direction and focus, things like that, he came to me and called me his productivity coach. Not so much wellness like a lot of my clients, not so much mental health, but productivity. And he's very resistant at first to the idea that his emotions or his thoughts were really that important. It was really just about managing time to be the most productive possible. Um, However, I still asked him, what are your dreams? What do you want in the big picture? And he was a little dismissive of that at first, but now we've been working together for over 2 years, and he would tell you that he's learned why his dreams matter, that he sees himself for who he actually is, not for what was expected of him, being the man of the house, so to speak, at a very young
Ah,
age. Um,
interesting.
that now he's able to be attuned to what matters to him, what he values, rather than showing up for everyone around him and making sure that they're well. And productivity became easier because it
Hmm.
became a true outpouring of who he is rather than all of these expectations that he's placed on himself or had placed on him for
It's very early.
decades.
Yeah, very early.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, what a
So now he's
revelation.
very engaged with his emotions. Our conversations are just joyous because we're able to talk about, okay, what are your emotions showing you? What's working well for you? What's not working well? How have you been productive or where have you not? So that we can really be attentive to that and see what's coming up and what's kind of blocked right now.
Wow.
So our work has been beautiful, and he has this really great system that he's really designed for himself, and I've helped facilitate of embracing the seasons of life and the seasons of work,
Hmm.
knowing that there will be lean times and that that's okay. And that in those slower periods of productivity, he's ready to embrace rest and do restorative activities so that he's prepared to jump back in when his brain and his body are supportive of that faster pace.
Yeah.
He's doing so well.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that because the thing that was popping into my mind, it's really an act of self-love, right?
Yes.
At first I was thinking compassion, but it's beyond
Mm-hmm.
that,
I agree.
self-compassion, right? It's
I
really
agree.
self-love. It's allowing the seasons, allowing the slowness, knowing
Hmm.
that it's just temporary instead of
Yes.
the flogging, right? Oh my God, I
Right.
can't believe, oh no, I missed another deadline. Oh no, just
Right.
more of the peaceful allowing,
Hmm.
trusting.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, what a beautiful transformation. I
It's a
love that.
very present
Yeah.
work. And I think a lot of times clients come with resistance to being with what's happening now
Hmm.
because it's uncomfortable.
Well, or
And we do the
you
work
shouldn't.
and
You
right, that's
should.
not
It's the societal, like, no, no, no. It's not,
exactly.
it's not okay.
You're not where you want to be, and we got to hurry up and get there.
Yep.
But we come to a place in our work where it's very still and present and emotionally engaged with a lot of self-love, and that love extends to others. And I know it all sounds so beautiful and grand, and it is beautiful and
But you
grand.
gotta, it's in the construction zone, right? With a beautiful new
Yes.
kitchen, because you have to like tear out some cabinets and stuff.
Yes.
It's a,
And that's the work I love to do.
it's a
Mhm.
very hands-on process that I'm sure has its own journey.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. And obviously, you're very passionate about
I
doing this.
am.
And
Hmm.
that's the thing that I just love to sense and feel, because over the course of 7 years since I've been a business coach, um, I've observed that frequently that passion dwindles, during the
Hmm.
business building process, because
Right.
it's not like coaches or clients just walk through the door, right? It's a
That's so true.
business building process.
Hmm.
And, but being able to, provide and support people to do the work that they love instead of toiling away at building a business is why, I love the work I do. But it really comes down to a combination of not only that passion, but also the tenacity. Because I'm sure
Hmm.
there are many days when, well, this or that, or, I'd rather be with my little girl right now, and or she's sick and I don't want to do that, so it's just
Yeah.
that tenacity of continuing to take one step after another, as well
Hmm.
as the right strategy, to build that
Absolutely.
thriving and growing business. And all too often, experts end up giving up on their
Yes.
vision of making
Yes.
that difference. And I hate that, because the ripple effects, just like you're describing, of making that profound difference are, it's just, it goes on to how he shows up at work, how he shows up with
Hmm.
others, how they show up then, and on and on and on. So I love that. And so I'm just curious, in terms of this passion that you have, that's,
Hmm.
so apparent, what's your secret for
Mm.
continuing to refuel that
Yeah.
desire and commitment towards helping others achieve, this new state of being?
I I feel like the passion is sustained by a strong belief that we can heal and that it makes not only individual lives better, but that healing extends to everyone we touch.
Mm.
Um, Especially as a parent who has been hopeful to become a parent for many years, I feel that it's my greatest work parenting, yes, but coaching so that there are more parents out there, grandparents and coworkers and friends, people nurturing one another,
Yes.
um, and healing
Mm.
in wellness and mental clarity, because I really believe that that ripple effect, much like you've described, is what will change the world for the better.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. 100% agree. And one of my early mentors in business had that same kind, he passed on that similar perspective to me. It was Mark Victor Hansen. I don't know if you know him, but the co-author for Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He and Bob Proctor
Mm.
formed a 3% club. It was kind of a mastermind experience, and it completely revolutionized the understanding of the importance that I could play in
Hmm.
the grand scheme of things. And he taught me, he said, Wendy, you need to always have a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes.
something that just sends goosebumps up your arms when you think about it, something that fuels your passion and helps you get out of your own way. and
Right.
and so in each chapter, I guess I could
Mhm.
call it, of my career, I've always had a different, big audacious goal. And you've just described what I firmly see and believe is that overall raising of consciousness within humanity,
Yes.
where
Yes.
the self-love trickles out just one person at a time, and it
Hmm.
does buoy up everybody. And I believe
It does.
we're gaining that traction. I believe AI is kind of contributing towards more
Mm.
of the essence of what it is to be human, to
Yeah.
played out. So I'm curious, do you have a big audacious goal or a vision that keeps
Yeah.
you motivated and excited to do your work?
You know, my vision, it's truly that the people I work with would would have so much self-compassion and self-love that even people I don't work with are being sort of blessed and lifted up by the
Yeah.
work that we've done. I would love for that to be not necessarily well known throughout the world, but that it would move throughout the world.
Mhm.
That I would get to work with some clients who have a lot of influence. They wouldn't necessarily need to tell my name to the next person, but
Right.
people who are seen by many. I don't particularly want to be seen by many, but I would love to work with those who are in
Mm.
governments and
Mm.
in
Yes.
entertainment industries, things of that nature, to to get the opportunity to support them to love themselves and experience true holistic wellness and emotional engagement,
Mhm.
and for
Yes.
that to be a norm in my practice. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely see that as totally possible, because of the strength and the vision and the clarity that you own. So, yeah. Well, so
Thank you.
Rebecca, what is the best next step for listeners in our audience who are curious about how you do your magic and what it's like to possibly work with you, or just simply to learn more about the work that you do?
Yes, well, I would love for anyone interested in getting to know me more or the work or even beginning to work with me as a client to just follow the link that you'll provide in the show notes or on your website
Yep, there's show
for a
notes.
free consultation. That'd be
Okay.
great. And I would love to connect. You may find it difficult to get a slot on my calendar in the next couple of weeks because they do stay pretty full, and I have very limited hours to be with my daughter, as you mentioned earlier. But I
Yes.
would love to connect in that way. Just get in there and we'll have a Zoom call or a phone call, or if you're in Chicago, I'd love to see you in my office.
Oh,
And we'll just get it started from there.
oh, that's
But I'd
awesome.
love to
This is
also,
complimentary.
yeah,
Wow,
it is complimentary.
that's
It's a
huge.
30-minute call. Yes. And and you can book as far out as you need to find a time. But I do want to offer that because I believe that the people who are listening are really aligned with the work that you and I do, Wendy. And it would be an honor to connect with them in this way and see what good we can do, what good we can bring into the world.
Thank you so much. I love that. Yeah, very generous, and that's just beautiful, a beautiful gift. So thank you so much. And
It's my
Rebecca,
pleasure.
it's just been so much fun listening to your journey and the vision that prompted you to start that journey, of having your priorities about your own wellness, well-being, and then wanting to grow your business and keep your priorities aligned while also serving people at an extremely valuable mode that helps them to truly achieve the happiness that they're seeking. So I
Yes.
just really want to honor you and thank you again for this great work you're doing. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Wendy. It's been a pleasure. I love to chat with you, and I hope to do it again soon.
Absolutely. All right.
Take
Bye.
care.
All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love. right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well-paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So if you're a heart-centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So check out the show notes. All right, well, this is Wendy Vaughn signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.